What if I told you there's a hidden point in your body, right between the root of your spine and the secret gate of your breath, that can awaken something ancient sleeping within you? They call it the Perineum Spot, a place so ordinary that most people never even notice it. Yet within it hums the oldest energy your body remembers, Kundalini, the sleeping serpent of creation. Before we go any further, take a deep breath with me. Inhale through your nose, slowly. Exhale out through your mouth. Feel that? The tiny drop of calm that just moved through your spine. That's your nervous system, your inner electricity, already listening. Now imagine this, a soft golden light resting at the base of your spine. Each breath you take fans that light gently, almost like the embers of a hidden fire. When you press or even just focus your awareness on this point, you're not forcing energy, you're inviting it. You're reminding your body how to listen again. In ancient yogic texts, this place was seen as the root of all creation, the meeting point of the physical and the divine. Modern anatomy calls it simply the perineum, but energy healers whisper that it's the silent bridge between your nervous system and your soul. When it awakens, your breath deepens, your thoughts soften, and for a moment, you feel connected to everything. But here's the quiet truth. Most people never touch this space consciously. They live entire lives searching for peace, unaware that the key has always been hidden right here, beneath them, waiting to be remembered. Where are you watching from right now? Your couch, your bed, maybe somewhere quiet in the dark? Wherever you are, let your body settle. Let gravity do the work. Just listen. In this video, we'll explore how ancient mystics, and now modern science, understood this subtle point as a switch within your nervous system's sacred geometry. We'll learn the safe, gentle way to awaken it, not through force, but through awareness. You'll feel how breath, intention, and a single point of touch can invite your sleeping Kundalini to stir. Before we begin, pause for just a moment. If something in you already feels drawn here, trust it. Tap subscribe. Whisper a quiet yes to your own growth. Like this video, if your body has already started to respond in small, invisible ways, this may just be the beginning of remembering who you really are. Now, let's open the body's hidden door together. To understand this practice, we first have to return to the body, not as something mechanical, but as something sacred. The perineum, in spiritual anatomy, is called the Muladhara gateway, the root threshold. It's the point where energy rests before it rises. When ancient mystics sat for long hours in silence, they noticed that every emotion, every desire, every fear had a home, and that home was deep within the pelvis, near the base of the spine. This place, the perineum, was not just flesh. It was the anchor of life force, the seat of what they call prana shakti, the feminine current of creation. Imagine it as a small door hidden within your body. You don't open it with effort. You open it with attention. The more softly you bring awareness here, the more the body begins to remember its original rhythm, the rhythm of peace, the rhythm of presence. In the language of modern science, this area is closely linked to the pelvic nerve network, connected to both the vagus nerve and the sacral plexus. These are the body's quiet conductors, sending messages of calm, balance, and safety to the brain. When you activate this point with gentle awareness, you signal your nervous system to enter a state scientists call the parasympathetic response, or simply rest and restore. It's the opposite of stress. It's the inner exhale that modern life forgets to take. But long before science named it, sages already felt it. They believed the perineum held the sleeping root of Kundalini, the coiled energy serpent that lies at the base of the spine, waiting to rise through the chakras. When touched consciously, either through pressure, breath, or still awareness, it's said that this energy begins to awaken, climbing through the inner spine like light, traveling up a sacred ladder. The ancient text, Shiva Samhita, one of yoga's most profound manuals, describes it this way. Between the anus and the genitals lies a small lotus of 4 petals. It is there that the sleeping goddess rests, her head downward, coiled 3.5 times, like a serpent waiting for the dawn. Shiva Samhita, translated by Rai Bahadur Srisa Chandra Vasu, that sleeping goddess, is what we call Kundalini. And her awakening is not a forceful act. It is a remembering, a reconnection of the body's forgotten intelligence. In the modern world, this same understanding is now mirrored in books on somatic awareness and energy psychology. In The Body Keeps the Score by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, he writes, "The body remembers what the mind forgets. Healing begins when we start to feel the body again. And perhaps the perineum is one of those forgotten gateways, a bridge that reconnects body and consciousness." You see, the technique we're exploring isn't about control or mystical performance. It's about stillness, the art of listening to your own root. The perineum acts like an antenna. When it's ignored, the signal weakens. When it's honored, the signal strengthens. When you sit upright, spine long, breath deep, and place your gentle focus there, something quiet begins to happen. Your mind slows down. Your breath becomes soft and full, and deep inside you sense a warmth, subtle, silent, but alive. That warmth isn't magic. It's your own energy, your life force finally flowing through the channel it was meant to. Some call this the bottom of the spine. Others, the gateway to heaven. But whatever name you give it, this technique is ultimately about returning to your original breath, the one that existed before thought, before tension, before the noise of the world. When practiced daily, even for a few seconds of awareness, the perineum spot becomes like a soft inner switch. It teaches your body safety again. It tells your nervous system you can rest now. So the question isn't really, what is this spot? It's what happens when you finally learn to feel it. And that is where our next step begins, exploring how both ancient sages and modern neuroscience agree. This hidden point may just be the most powerful connection between matter and spirit your body possesses. Science, when seen through the eyes of stillness, begins to look a lot like spirituality wearing a lab coat. The same language of energy, breath, and awakening that the ancients spoke of now finds its echo in biology and neuroscience. Let's start with something simple. Your nervous system. It's not just wires and impulses. It's the living bridge between your body and your emotions. Every moment you breathe, think, or feel, your nervous system translates that energy into a physical experience. At the center of this network lies a remarkable messenger, the vagus nerve. It travels from your brainstem, winding down through your face, throat, lungs, heart, and deep into your abdomen and pelvic floor. It is one of the body's longest nerves, a silent thread weaving thought into feeling, breath into heartbeat, awareness into calm. When you gently stimulate the area around the perineum, you are indirectly activating this vagal pathway. The pressure and awareness signal the body to shift from its sympathetic state, the fight or flight mode, into its parasympathetic state, often called the rest and restore response. In that state, your heartbeat slows, your breathing deepens, and your brain releases neurotransmitters like serotonin and acetylcholine, natural messengers of peace. In Accessing the Healing Power of the Vagus Nerve by Stanley Rosenberg, the author explains, when the vagus nerve is activated, the body returns to safety. The mind becomes quiet not through effort, but through physiology, remembering calm. This is the language of the body's hidden wisdom, the same wisdom yogis once described through symbols like serpents and lotuses. What they called Kundalini rising can also be understood as the nervous system, finding coherence, the body's electric and magnetic fields aligning like instruments, tuning to a shared frequency. Modern science now refers to this invisible current as the biofield, the electromagnetic field generated by the heart, the brain, and the subtle electrical pulses of every cell. When this field becomes balanced, we experience it as clarity, peace, or a sudden sense of wholeness. And interestingly, studies from institutions like the HeartMath Institute have shown that slow breathing and focused attention on lower body centers, like the perineum, can harmonize the biofield, reducing anxiety and deepening emotional stability. Ancient yogis didn't use words like biofield or neurotransmitters. They used poetry. They said, when energy sleeps, man dreams. When energy awakens, man remembers. That remembering, the gentle spark that moves when you breathe into your root, is what modern researchers are beginning to call embodied regulation. It's the body's natural ability to heal itself through awareness. In The Molecules of Emotion by Dr. Candace Pert, the scientist who first discovered the body's emotion receptors, she writes, the body is the subconscious mind. Every cell is a memory. When we feel fully, we heal. So when you press or breathe into the perineum with soft attention, you're not doing something strange or mystical. You're accessing one of the body's oldest healing mechanisms, vagal self-regulation, through the door of presence. The ancients just described it differently. They said the serpent awakens. Science says the nervous system harmonizes. Both are saying the same thing. Energy begins to move. Imagine your body as a river that's been dammed by years of tension, worry, and habit. Every mindful touch, every breath at the root opens that dam a little wider. At first, it's just a trickle, warmth, tingling, release. Then one day, without forcing anything, the river flows again. You may notice over time small miracles. Your sleep deepens, your digestion improves, your thoughts quiet faster. These are not coincidences. They are signs that your vagus nerve, your internal messenger of peace, is finally being heard. The deeper science looks, the more it begins to sound like the words of sages. And perhaps they were never separate to begin with. As the biologist Rupert Sheldrake writes in The Presence of the Past, the living body is not a machine, but a memory field. Every act of attention awakens what the body once knew. So when your awareness touches the perineum, the silent root of your being, you are not awakening something new. You are awakening something anciently yours. The mind may try to understand it as energy flow or neural regulation. But the body knows it simply as peace, the peace that was never gone, only forgotten. And now that we've felt the connection between energy and biology, it's time to learn how to engage with it consciously, through touch, breath, and visualization. Because the secret isn't just in knowing where this spot is. It's in knowing how to listen to it. Now that you understand where this hidden doorway lies, it's time to approach it gently, reverently, as you would approach a sacred altar. First, find a quiet space, somewhere you can sit comfortably without interruption. You can sit on a soft cushion or even lie down if that feels better. The most important thing is that your spine feels supported and your body feels safe. Take a slow breath in through your nose and release it through your mouth. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. Let your eyes half close. Now bring your awareness to the very base of your body, the place between the genitals and the anus. This is your perineum spot, the ancient Muladhara gate. You don't need to touch it yet, simply sense that it's there. Feel its weight, its stillness, its quiet pulse of life. With your next breath, imagine a soft red glow forming there, warm, alive, safe. As you breathe in, the glow expands slightly. As you breathe out, it deepens in color and warmth. This is your root energy, the first spark of creation within you. Now, if you wish, place 2 fingers gently over that area through your clothing. There is no pressure, only contact, as if you're greeting this forgotten part of yourself with kindness. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths, allowing the touch to anchor your awareness there. Step 1. Awareness. Simply notice what you feel. Tingling, warmth, maybe nothing at all. It doesn't matter. The point is not sensation. It's presence. You are saying to your body, I am here. Step 2. Breathe in slowly for a count of 4. Hold for 1 gentle heartbeat. Exhale for 6. This longer exhale tells your vagus nerve that you are safe. You may notice a ripple, a tiny sense of melting inside the pelvis or down the legs. That's the nervous system unwinding its armor. Step 3, visualization. Now picture a tiny spiral of golden light at the perineum, like the sun rising beneath your spine. As you breathe in, imagine this light beginning to spin clockwise, slow, steady, alive. As you breathe out, imagine it releasing gentle waves upward, traveling through the tailbone into the lower back. This is your Kundalini breath, soft, feminine healing. In Awakening the Sacred Body, by Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche, the author writes, "When awareness meets the body, energy awakens. When energy awakens, mind becomes luminous." That's what's happening here. You're not trying to control the body. You're allowing awareness to meet it, to make it luminous again. Step 4, touch variation. There are gentle variations of this practice. For some, simply focusing awareness is enough. For others, a light rhythmic tap with the fingertips, once every few breaths, can help the nervous system sync. Each tap can be paired with the mantra, "I am grounded, I'm safe." You can also imagine that each touch releases a subtle ring of warmth, expanding from the root, through the hips, the belly, and eventually up the spine. Step 5, energy flow. As the warmth grows, imagine it moving upward like a ribbon of soft light, rising through your sacrum, your navel, your heart, all the way to the crown of your head. Don't force it. The energy will move when it's ready. Your job is to stay aware, to breathe, and trust the intelligence of your body. At some point, you may feel your breath deepen naturally. You may feel waves of emotion, tears, peace, laughter. This is energy releasing. Don't analyze it. Let it flow through you like water flowing through clean stone. Step 6, closing the practice. When you feel complete, bring both palms to rest over your lower belly. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, imagine the golden light gently folding back into the perineum. Safe, calm, at home. Whisper softly, "I awaken not by force, but by remembering who I am." Sit for a few moments in stillness. Notice your heartbeat. Notice your breath. Notice how your body feels heavier, quieter, more alive. Over time, this small practice becomes a daily ritual of grounding, a moment where you step back into your own body's temple. You don't have to do it long. Even 2 minutes of awareness can reset your entire nervous system. As you end, bring your attention to gratitude. Gratitude for your breath, for your body, for this hidden point of light within you that is always waiting to respond, because this isn't about awakening something foreign, it's about coming home. And each breath, each touch, each soft awareness is a homecoming. Now, as we move forward, you'll begin to understand what happens inside, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically, when this point is truly awakened. Because the shift that begins in the body doesn't stay in the body. It begins to touch your mind, your emotions, even the way you see the world itself. When the perineum point is activated with conscious attention, something subtle begins to unfold. Not outside of you, but deep within the field of your emotions. Most people think awakening energy means a surge of power or ecstasy, but in truth, it starts with softening. The body relaxes, the nervous system exhales, and a kind of ancient intelligence, one that has always been within you, begins to rise. Imagine this. You're sitting in stillness, your awareness gently resting on that small sacred spot between the genitals and the tailbone. With each breath, you're not just moving air, you're moving energy. And as this energy starts to pulse, something in your emotional body begins to reorganize. You might suddenly feel warmth in the chest or tears welling up without reason. That's not weakness, it's release. Your body has carried memories for years, stories of survival and protection. The perineum acts like a spiritual drain, where suppressed emotions can finally flow out safely, without needing words or explanations. In yogic traditions, this process is known as mula shuddhi, purification of the root. When the root becomes lighter, the emotions tied to fear, scarcity, guilt, or old trauma lose their grip. The base frequency of survival gives way to a frequency of trust, Scientifically, what's happening is just as fascinating. The perineum is closely linked to the pelvic nerve plexus, which communicates with the vagus nerve and enteric nervous system, the body's second brain. When gentle awareness or pressure is applied there, it sends signals that calm the sympathetic system and activate parasympathetic dominance, the rest and digest mode. This shift creates measurable changes: slower heart rate, deeper breathing, improved digestion, and a release of oxytocin, the hormone of connection and love. But beyond biology, you begin to feel safe in your own skin again. That feeling of safety is the first doorway to spiritual awakening. When energy starts to move upward from the perineum, it doesn't rush. It blooms. It travels through the inner channels, often felt as tingling or subtle vibrations along the spine. And here lies the emotional magic. As this current ascends, it carries unresolved emotions upward into awareness, not to overwhelm you, but to integrate them. A passage from The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk resonates here. The body remembers what the mind forgets. To change the self, one must first feel the self. That's exactly what this technique facilitates, a reconnection with the felt sense of being alive. Another writer, Caroline Myss, in Anatomy of the Spirit, wrote, "Every thought and emotion leaves a mark in the body's energy anatomy." Healing is not about removing those marks, but transforming them into light. This transformation begins here, at the very base of the spine, when you choose to meet your own energy with awareness. As you continue to breathe and press gently, the pelvic floor starts to mirror the heart. You may sense a rhythm, like a silent dialogue between your lower body and upper body, between survival and love, between root and soul. For some, this moment can be emotional. Tears may flow, laughter may emerge, or you may feel a wave of peace that feels almost divine. Don't resist it. This is the nervous system reorganizing itself, letting go of patterns it no longer needs to hold. Energy traditions often describe this as the serpent remembering its wings. What was once coiled and dormant now begins to rise as wisdom, not chaos. Neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman often mentions how attention changes the brain. In this context, attention changes the energy. The act of simply feeling the perineum with presence rewires how you relate to your own life force. You are no longer chasing energy. You are listening to it. Over time, this creates a profound emotional shift, from reacting to responding, from controlling to allowing. The ancient yogis called this sthira sukham asanam, the balance of stability and ease. When the root stabilizes, the heart opens. Imagine the perineum as the soil of your inner garden. When it's tense, the roots of your emotions can't breathe. But when it softens, your entire emotional field begins to grow, quietly, beautifully, like wildflowers after rain. At this point, you may start noticing small yet powerful shifts in your daily life. You feel less anxious in situations that once made you tense. You breathe more naturally, even when stressed. You sense emotions before they explode and choose how to respond. This is not magic. This is mastery. The mastery of your internal landscape. And in that mastery, your emotions evolve from reactions to revelations. Every feeling becomes a messenger, every tear a teacher, every breath a prayer. As the emotional body harmonizes, many practitioners report vivid dreams, sudden creative inspiration, or a deeper intuition. It's as if your inner compass, long covered by noise, finally begins to point true north again. This is the sacred intelligence of your body awakening, not through effort, but through surrender. Now let's go one layer deeper, because when this emotional alchemy takes hold, it doesn't just heal your feelings, it begins to shape your reality. How does pressing a point in the body start influencing what we attract, perceive, and manifest in our outer world? That's what we'll uncover next, the mystical and energetic expansion that follows. When we speak of awakening through the perineum, we're not talking about fantasy or mysticism alone. We're touching something that ancient sages understood as biological enlightenment, the body's built-in bridge between matter and spirit. The ancients knew this place as Muladhara, the root of the human temple. It's where the physical and the spiritual intertwine, where the soul takes its first breath into matter. But what most people forget is that this root is not a metaphor. It's a living node of bioelectrical intelligence. Modern science has begun to echo this truth. Neuroscientists have discovered that the base of the spine houses a dense network of sensory neurons, a biological gateway that constantly sends feedback to the brain about safety, grounding, and vitality. When that region is tense or blocked, the brain interprets life as danger. But when it's open, the whole body begins to harmonize with what quantum physicists now call coherence. In other words, your consciousness becomes measurable. Imagine your spinal column as an antenna. Ancient yogis called it the Sushumna Nadi, carrying frequencies between the earth and the cosmos. When you press the perineum point gently and breathe consciously, you're not just moving energy upward. You're fine-tuning that antenna to receive higher information. In The Biology of Belief, Dr. Bruce Lipton wrote, "Every cell is a miniature human, and the membrane is its brain. Your perineum, rich in nerve endings and fascia, behaves like a global membrane for the body, a communication hub. The more aware it becomes, the more each cell receives the signal of safety, which in spiritual language translates to trust in the divine order." At this stage, the line between science and spirituality begins to blur beautifully. The nervous system, the electromagnetic field, and what ancient yogis called prana are describing the same phenomenon through different tongues. Think of Kundalini not as a serpent sleeping, but as a coded current of consciousness waiting to rise through the spine's crystalline channels. Each vertebra becomes a note in a divine symphony. The perineum is the first key. As energy ascends, brain waves begin to shift, moving from high-frequency beta, thinking, worrying, into slower alpha and theta states. Intuition, creativity, unity. Researchers using EEG scans during deep meditation have found that such shifts correlate with feelings of oneness and transcendence. And this is where the spiritual science truly unfolds. Awakening is not a miracle that descends from heaven. It's the natural outcome of coherence between body, heart, and brain. Author Paramahansa Yogananda described this process in Autobiography of a Yogi. When the life force is withdrawn from the senses and centered in the spine, man perceives himself as energy, not flesh. This realization is the essence of awakening, recognizing that your body is not an obstacle to divinity, but its instrument. Now, let's bring it closer to your experience. As you continue practicing awareness at the perineum, you may notice the breath becoming subtler, thoughts quieting on their own. What's happening here is entrainment. Your heart rhythm begins to synchronize with the Earth's Schumann resonance, the natural heartbeat of the planet. The yogis called this samadhi, with the Earth Mother. Scientists might call it bioresonance. But both point to the same truth. When you return to the root, you return to harmony. There's also a deeper mystical element here. Many sacred texts, from the Book of Enoch to the Upanishads, describe the spine as Jacob's ladder, a bridge between heaven and earth. The perineum is the first rung of that ladder. Each breath you take there is like stepping upward toward the divine center of your being. The physicist David Bohm once wrote, "Matter is frozen light." If this is true, then awakening through the body is the act of thawing that light, allowing consciousness to melt into its original luminosity. During this phase, some people report sensations of warmth moving up the spine, a tingling crown, or moments of spontaneous bliss. Others describe it as deep silence, as though time briefly stops. These are signs that the bioelectric current, the holy river, is beginning to flow. But remember, this is not about chasing sensations. The true transformation is in perception. You begin to sense that life is not happening to you, but through you. The old feeling of separation starts to dissolve. Compassion arises naturally. Gratitude becomes your default language. This is the union of science and spirit, chemistry shifting into consciousness, electricity into empathy. A beautiful line from The Tao of Physics by Fritjof Capra captures this synthesis perfectly. The dance of subatomic particles is not a chaotic movement of matter, but a rhythmic pattern of energy, a cosmic dance of creation and destruction, of birth and death. That dance is happening within you each time you breathe through the root. You are both the observer and the universe observing itself. And as this realization deepens, fear begins to lose meaning. The survival impulse, once anchored in the lower centers, transforms into creative energy, the desire to serve, to love, to expand. In this awakened state, the perineum no longer feels like a point you press. It feels like a portal you open, to a consciousness that has been patiently waiting beneath the noise of your thoughts. And so, the science of awakening is really the science of remembering that every atom in your being is already divine intelligence, humming quietly, ready to rise. Now, as this current continues to climb within you, it begins to shape not only your body or emotions, but your destiny. What changes when this awakened energy starts to move through your relationships, your choices, your sense of purpose? That's what we'll explore next. The transformation in daily life, where the mystical becomes practical and the sacred becomes everyday reality. When awakening begins to breathe inside you, it doesn't shout, it whispers. At first, it may be subtle, the way you notice your mornings feel calmer, or how the same world that once felt heavy now feels lighter, almost transparent. You begin to sense that every sound, every face, every breeze carries a message meant only for you. That is how Kundalini speaks, not in words, but through synchronicities, through the gentle rewiring of your nervous system into a state of trust. When you work with the perineum point, day after day, this awakening slowly weaves itself into your daily rhythm. It becomes less of a practice and more of a way of being. Your breath lengthens naturally. Your voice softens. Your reactions slow down. You find yourself listening, truly listening, even to silence. You might wake up one morning and realize that anger doesn't grip you the same way it used to. You may notice that forgiveness, once difficult, now flows like water. This is not forced compassion. It's the natural outcome of a balanced root, a nervous system that finally feels safe enough to love. In Wheels of Life by Anodea Judith, she wrote, "When the root chakra is grounded, life becomes trustworthy. You no longer cling to security, you become it. And that's precisely what this transformation looks like in daily life. You stop seeking safety outside yourself. You start embodying it. You walk slower but with purpose. You eat more consciously, tasting every flavor. You sit in nature and feel as though the trees are breathing with you. These small shifts are profound because they ripple through your relationships, your health, and even your perception of time. Physiologically, this happens because the vagus nerve, your body's safety switch, becomes more active. It signals to your organs that all is well. Stress hormones drop. Digestion improves. Your sleep becomes deeper. The body, once in constant defense, begins to rest, repair, and rejuvenate. Spiritually, it's the same principle described in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. When the mind is still, the seer abides in its own true nature. Through grounding, you've created the stillness in which your higher self can finally be heard. Now, the outer world begins to mirror your inner clarity. You might meet new people who resonate with your energy, souls who reflect the same calm you've cultivated. Opportunities that once felt out of reach suddenly align effortlessly. This is what some call manifestation, but in truth, it's resonance. You are now tuned to the frequency of your own soul. For many, this stage brings a deep emotional release, tears without reason, laughter without cause. Don't resist it. These are the echoes of old patterns leaving your body. Every breath through the perineum is like opening a valve, releasing lifetimes of unspoken tension. A beautiful passage from The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle explains it simply: you don't become good by trying to be good, but by finding the goodness that is already within you and allowing that goodness to emerge. That is what this awakening truly is, not learning something new, but remembering what was always there. Gradually, your priorities shift. The chase for external validation fades. You begin valuing silence more than noise, presence more than speed. You see how every moment, washing dishes, walking, smiling at a stranger, becomes a spiritual act. Some people fear this change. They ask, will I become detached from the world? The truth is, you become more connected than ever. Because now, you don't love from need, you love from abundance. In The Untethered Soul, by Michael A. Singer, he writes, when you are no longer afraid of pain, you will be able to feel joy like never before. This is the fruit of your practice, emotional freedom. You no longer hide from experience. You allow life to move through you, unfiltered, raw, divine, and this energy doesn't stop at you. The awakened perineum becomes like a transmitter, radiating peace into your home, your conversations, your work. People will start to tell you you feel different. They might not understand why, but they'll feel safer around you, more open, more at ease. This is how spiritual awakening silently changes the world, not through preaching, but through presence. One viewer once wrote in the comments, since practicing this, I no longer feel like I'm meditating. I feel like meditation is living through me. That's the essence of transformation. The practice disappears. Only awareness remains. So as your journey deepens, ask yourself this: how does peace express itself through you today? Maybe it's in the way you breathe. Maybe it's in the way you listen. Maybe it's in the way you choose not to rush. The perineum point, the Kundalini, the breath, these are only doors. The real awakening begins once you step beyond them, into the living temple of your everyday existence. And perhaps that's the final secret. Spirituality isn't found in escape, but in embodiment, in being so rooted in your own presence that even the most ordinary moment becomes sacred. So tonight, before you sleep, bring your awareness once more to that quiet point beneath you. Feel the soft pulse there. Breathe gently. Whisper to yourself, I am safe. I am light. I'm here. Let that be your new prayer. Not an escape from the world, but a return to it. Take a deep breath with me. In through the nose, and slowly out through the heart. You've journeyed from the outer world into the most ancient space within you, the root, the beginning, the silent altar beneath your being. What began as curiosity, a simple question about a point on your body, has quietly become a pilgrimage back to your soul. The perineum point, the base of your spine, was never just muscle or nerve. It was a door waiting for you to knock, and the moment you did, your body remembered something sacred, that you were never disconnected from the divine, only distracted. Now feel this with me. That soft hum in your lower body, that quiet warmth rising. That is not imagination. That is life, conscious and awake, moving through you again. In Be Here Now, Ram Dass wrote, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. And maybe tonight, that's all the universe wanted, for you to slow down just enough to listen. When you listen from the root, every breath becomes a prayer, every heartbeat a mantra. You begin to see the divine not in temples or teachings, but in your own pulse. Maybe you're watching this from your bed, your living room, or sitting under a soft lamp late at night. Wherever you are, pause for a moment. Feel the chair beneath you, the breath inside you, the stillness around you. That right there is the gateway. This isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of awareness. Because awakening isn't something that happens once. It unfolds each day, each breath, each gentle act of noticing. As the old texts whisper, the root holds the memory of all creation. When you nurture it, you begin to remember who you've always been, not a seeker of light, but light itself. So tonight, when you close your eyes, imagine that golden current still flowing upward, threading through your spine like a sacred river returning home. Let it wash over the mind, through the heart, until you feel yourself resting not on the earth, but as part of it, and now a soft invitation, from my heart to yours. If this journey stirred something inside you, if you felt even a single moment of silence deeper than thought, I'd love to know. Where did you feel it most? Tell me in the comments. Your words might awaken someone else. If you felt peace, press like. Or if it challenged you, press dislike, because even resistance is part of awakening. This is the Spine Gospel, where ancient wisdom meets the living body. If your heart feels ready for more, stay close. Because next, we'll explore another hidden doorway, one that connects the heart's rhythm to the breath of the earth itself. Until then, breathe gently. You are the prayer. You are the energy. You are the light rising through your own spine.